for this week's Get Ready, Get Hired hiring and job and volunteer hiring fair. That's a mouthful. Anyways, so as you know, of course, it's happening on the Richmond campus on Wednesday, October 1st, and on the Surrey campus on Thursday, October 2nd. My name is Chantel. I am the interim coordinator with Career Services within the Career Development Center. And today's webinar will be hosted again by your career coach, Louis Leung. And I think that might be it. This is our final webinar in the webinar series leading up to this week's exciting events. And if you've missed our previous webinars, no worries. We recorded them and they have been uploaded to our CDC YouTube channel. So please do hop over there and take a look at those ones before you attend this week's hiring fair. So without further ado, I think we're going to get started. I'll introduce you, or I'll pass you over rather, to Louis Leung, your career coach. Louis, go ahead, take it away.
Thank you very much, Chantal. Yeah, and good afternoon, everyone. Without further ado, I guess we can get started. So yeah, welcome everyone for attending our third and final Get Ready, Get Hired webinar series, Interview Strategies. Yeah, my name is Louis, the Career Development Coach at KPU. Hope you have actually attended our last two webinars on resume, cover letter, and navigating the job and volunteer hiring fair, and had gotten some useful tips. And happening this Wednesday, October 1st at the Richmond campus atrium, and Thursday the 2nd at the Surrey main campus, Spruce Building, would be where the job and volunteer fair would be held this week from 10 to 2 p.m. Aren't you excited? Because I am, and I can't wait to see your faces and be engaged with our employers who are interested in meeting with you. So for this final webinar, we will be going through the steps that help you stand out in any job interview, along with effective strategies that go with them. There's quite a bit to go through today, and hope that you can find use in all of these advice as you begin your job search phase. And stay around until the end of the webinar as we have prize draws. When you registered for the webinars, you are automatically entered into the draw and have a chance to win bookstore gift cards for each of these webinars. And the draw will be held on Tuesday, October the 14th. And before we begin, I'd like to do a territorial acknowledgement. We at Kwantlen Polytechnic University respectfully acknowledge that we live, work, and study in a region that overlaps with the unceded traditional and ancestral First Nations territories of the Musqueam, Katzie, Semiahmoo, Tsawwassen, Kaikite, and Coquitlam, and with the lands of the Kwantlen First Nation, which gifted its name to this university. In the cause of reconciliation, we recognize our commitment to address and reduce ongoing systemic colonialism, oppression, and racism that Indigenous peoples continue to experience. And a friendly reminder on the services we have available at our Career Development Center. Of course, some of you may have already used our services at the CDC and are familiar with what we do to help you. And for those who don't, that's no problem at all. And yeah, just to let you know, this webinar is hosted by our Career Development Center, including a variety of services such as career preparation in resumes and cover letters, etc., volunteer services, cooperative education, and establishing employer relations. You can also follow us on major social media platforms where we provide updates on upcoming events hosted at KPU. We also do group drop-ins, career advising appointments, and if you have any career-related inquiries, feel free to email us 24/7. A representative of ours would be happy to answer your inquiries in time. And yeah, feel free to scan our QR code to learn more about our Career Development Center's services and how we can further support you. And of course, another friendly reminder, don't forget the days of our big event, Get Ready, Get Hired, Job and Volunteer Fair this week. And yeah, happening on October 1st and 2nd, 10 to 2 p.m. Looking forward to seeing all of you there. And for today's agenda, here's what we'll be going through. So why we actually do interviews, where we get the interviewer and the interviewee's perspective, what we do before the interview, the day of, during, followed by common interview questions, which includes situational or behavioral based questions using the star response, and then we follow through with the last bit, which we include thank you notes, and lastly, if we have time, we do have a Q&A, and yeah, feel free to ask us any questions afterwards, and we'd be happy to respond to them. And starting off, I'd like to ask our audience members an icebreaker question. Yeah, feel free to type your answers in the chat box. So, for the first question I'd like to ask is when you hear the word interview, what's the first word that comes to mind? And Chantel, if you could check our chat box just to see what our audience's responses are, I'm just curious to know what they're going to type in. Thank you.
Will do, Lewis. Yeah. So the first thing we saw here was from Jamie. Jamie wrote stressful. Okay, we get it. Yeah, we can all relate, I think. Then we have questions, professional, prepare. Ooh, I like it. Questions again, evaluation, preparation of my speech, questions again. So yeah, it sounds to me like a lot of people are curious, like what kind of questions are they going to ask me, right?
Mm,
Professional has come up again, so that's really good. Yeah, so lots of engagement there. Those just a few words that come to mind. Oh, and then we have stress,
mm,
question and answer, I guess. Yeah, Arjun
mm.
just wrote as well. So yeah, so stress comes up. Questions, a lot of questions around questions. A lot of words around questions. Yeah, there you go. Hiring. Oh, okay, there's a positive one. Hiring. Yeah, there you go, Lewis.
Excellent. Yeah. Thank you very much, and Chantel. Didn't I actually gain more information from our wonderful audience members? Okay. All right. Let's move on. So starting off, I'd like to ask, yeah, in this pretty much in this slide here, why do we actually have interviews? Yeah, and well, to start off, from the employer's perspective, in this case, the interviewer, what they want to see your enthusiasm in wanting to work for them. Do you have the energy, the drive to succeed with them and grow within the company? Do your missions, values match theirs? And is it expressed through your responses? What about your tone, your body language, etc.? Yeah, this matters when it comes to finding a place to begin, building up your work experience where you get to show your eagerness and enthusiasm in working with them. And of course, no one expects you to stay in one company forever when it comes to finding a job. But when you start off wanting to get that position, showing that you are interested in being with them helps out a lot. And they also want to determine that you have met their qualifications based on your resume and cover letter, and want to learn more about you from the pool of other candidates. And the main questions they would want to ask is, why should we hire you? What can you do for this position? How can you contribute towards their organization, and so forth? Which means, yeah, in terms of qualifications. And third, they want to know if you are a good fit for them from the interviewee's perspective, which is yourself. This is a great opportunity to assess if the position is a good fit for you. And what does the work involve is some questions you can ask. What about work culture? And does the position match your own professional goals, values, and skills and interests? Do you see a future with yourself with the organization? So it's fair to ask yourself these questions just to gauge and see if you fit well with them. And remember, the key to successful interviewing is preparation and practice. And having all of these leads to a successful match at the end for both you and the company itself. Hmm. Oh. And moving towards before the interview, there are several steps to take. So, when it comes to researching the company, number one, it's important to, um, of course, do this ahead of time, uh, and that the employers that would be, of course, showing up at the job and volunteer fair. You can also carry that out as well. So, when you look over the company's website, do look over their mission, values, recent projects that they're involved in from either the past, present, and future. See if the company's mission aligns with your own interests and goals. Did you look over their project pages? If you have them, if they have them, do any of their projects pique your interest? Yeah, and think about the industry that the company is in, and learn about what trends or events that might impact your prospective employer, and if possible, connect with the people who work in that industry or specifically the company for an inside perspective. And consider reaching out to the employees in the company when you have upcoming interviews and other professionals in the industry. You never know how helpful it can be if you can connect with people from various sectors of the same area. And number two, also, of course, is to reread the job description. So, under the scope, it's important to understand what the overall theme of the job is. Check the job duties, the qualifications, and the skills needed. According to the job description, what is it actually focused on? Is it a leadership role, a coordinating position, teaching, mentoring, support, etc.? So it's important to pay attention to the language used in the description, especially adjectives that describe the type of candidate that the company is seeking. Words like effective, proficient, strong, etc. Of course, there are also verbs that may stand out in the job description. If you have been in our previous webinar on resume and cover letters, we showed the different categories of verbs from manage, oversaw, etc. in leadership, accounting categories that may stand out to help the job description stand out. Of course, it could help your resume as well, but even companies use that to help them identify key aspects and qualifications they need for their ideal job candidate. And number three, preparing for common interview questions. So these types of questions take a good chunk of your time, aside from behavioral questions, which we will talk further down in the presentation. So when it comes to preparing this section, prepare the answers in point form just to help gather your thoughts. You can revise them later. And using point form in the beginning for your responses is better than using paragraphs, in my opinion, because you can organize your thoughts better that way. And prepare some smart and meaningful questions in advance when it is your turn to ask the interviewer. And this reflects your deep dive into the company's background and signals a genuine interest in the interviewer's perspective. And it also shows that you respect the interviewer's opinions and perspectives in time. Questions you can prepare. Y- oh, sorry. Some questions, are worth preparing for just to be in advance. So, moving next, is the interview virtual or in person? So, if it is in person, know what the address is. What about the floor of the building? Make sure it is accessible. And the location, is it in the head office or a satellite office? Is the area public transit friendly? Or if you're driving, is there parking available for you? And of course, if the interview is remote, make sure your equipment is working, such as laptop, mouse, etc., and have the proper lighting in the room. Webcam, of course, should be at eye level. Wear professional appropriate clothing, and practice looking into the camera when you're speaking to the interviewers. I'm still surprised to hear from industry professionals when conducting virtual interviews how interviewees are doing it from their beds without proper lighting, still wearing their pajamas, etc. And if this is a panel interview, practice making eye contact with multiple people in the room. You can try practicing this with your family members, your friends, even toys or inanimate objects that you may find helpful, etc. And when you are conducting your job interview practice, do it as multiple times as necessary, as interviews can be tough, but of course preparation does help. And having the confidence is the key to crushing that interview. And the best way to do is rehearse, rehearse, rehearse. One strategy I enjoy using when it comes to doing the interview is to record yourself and review what answers need improvement. This is a great time for you to practice before you actually meet before the day of the big event. When you can ask a friend or family member to help you prepare, that would be even great. Yeah, as they could provide feedback too. And if you have no one else to turn to for support, you can try practicing yourself, summarizing your responses, such as your work history and qualifications, and take your time to actually gather your thoughts on paper. And as this is the period when you should be doing that stage. And so, after all this preparation, we move on to the day of the interview. What should you look into from here? There are some things that are worth pondering. So, of course, during the stage, it's important to be on time or a little earlier. Of course, fifteen minutes earlier is generally acceptable and err on the side of being early than late. Bring in customized resumes, reference letters, and even a notepad and pen in case you need to take notes. Dress well, and there is a rule about what you should wear for a job interview. That is, you should try wearing one level above what the employees are wearing based on their company website, social media platforms, etc. So, for example, if they are wearing casual clothing such as t-shirts and khakis, then perhaps wear business casual such as a collared shirt and dress pants. And if they are wearing business casual, consider wearing business professional, such as a dress shirt and dress pants. Ties are typical, and blazers are optional. And of course, if the employees are still are all wearing suits with ties, dress shirts, and pants, the entire um, professional formula outlook, then wear the same attire, business professional. And of course, it's important to stay positive, show your enthusiasm that you are at the interview event, and yeah, meeting up with the employers that you have done a lot of research on just to prepare you for this event. Now, moving on to during the interview. And on this slide is a list of commonly asked questions that you may have encountered some or even all of them during your interviews. And yeah, many of them focus on your qualifications, such as your work history, skills, strengths and weaknesses, or in this case, areas of improvement, and things that the companies need to be aware of to see if you are the best fit for the job. Um, and yeah, and take some time to practice writing out your responses when you're preparing for these interview questions. And yeah, understand what the question is in order to help you prepare writing that out. Mhm. So, I'd like to move on to another icebreaker activity. Yeah, for our wonderful audience members, I'd like to throw you this question. Um, Please feel free to use the chat box to type in your answer. Yeah, and yeah, take some time to help you to take some thoughts in preparing for this response. I'd like to ask you, what do you think are the some of the most common questions you have heard from at an interview? And Chantel, if you could yeah, look over the chat to see what the responses are from the audience, that would be great. Thank you.
You bet. So the first one we have is Hardeep. Why should we hire you? Tell
Mm,
me about yourself from Diego. Yes, absolutely. Tell me about yourself. Why should we hire you? Those really overlap too, those questions, don't they? They tell a lot to the employer when they ask those questions. Then we have questions about strengths and weaknesses, absolutely.
mm-hmm,
And of course, situational questions, right? That tell me
mm-hmm,
about a time when. What is your weakness and how can you, I think, enhance these or maybe improve on these weaknesses? How do you manage stress? That's a good one. How do you manage stress?
mm-hmm.
Um,
Okay.
what makes you stand out between other candidates? Yeah, so that's similar to
Mm-hmm.
the why should we hire you, perhaps, right? Why should we
Mm,
hire you and not them?
makes
Yep,
sense.
some really good common ones there for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Good to know. Thank you very much. And yeah, and
great.
thank you for the audience, yeah, members for providing this information. And I know answering questions such as why should we hire you can be a little tricky, but with the right preparation, yeah, you can definitely eat that question along with other ones too. So yeah, let's move on to the next slide. Continuing on, when you start the during the interviews phase, what should you do? And first of all, when you're starting off, don't forget to smile and be nice. It's always a great way to have someone approach you and talk to you when you're smiling and yeah, being professional and nice at the same time. And if this is an in-person interview, of course, shake hands with the interviewer, or if it's a panel interview, with the interviewers. Making eye contact with everyone you shake hands with. If you can, try to remember the people's names or even put it down on a notepad. Yeah. Now in Western culture, shaking hands at an interview is pretty standard, and I am aware that certain cultures don't have this custom, which is important to be aware of in terms of these cultural differences when you're working with foreign companies. Next, of course, is to listen carefully to the interviewer, making sure that you answer the questions that they are asking, which is why I asked, which is why I said to bring in a notepad and a pen just to help you formulate your responses properly. And of course, if you can ask the interviewers that to take some time to gather your thoughts in prepping your answers, that would be great. And once you have the point, I would say your response is ready, and you're beginning to respond to the interviewer, make sure you actually make eye contact with everyone there. And of course, move your eyes from one person to the next. And if you feel nervous in actually making eye contact, you can try and stare at other um, I would say other parts of their face, maybe to help you ease with the nervousness. I know that some people in articles would say looking perhaps at the hair or their forehead just to help them put themselves at ease. Perhaps that may work for you too. And of course, another thing to do is relating your skills, work experience, and other qualifications to the needs of the company throughout your responses. And of course, continuing on when you are preparing for situational behavioral questions using the STAR method, I'll explain this further in detail in the later slides. Of course, when it comes to dealing with this type of questions, end off in a way that leaves a positive impact or result that benefited you, the company, and your coworkers. And of course, when you're prepping your responses, highlight your interest and passion as the people pay attention to that kind of detail. That could be in your tone of voice, your pupils dilating, body language, etc. And of course, try to avoid using filler words. Practice pausing to help gather your thoughts. I know that sometimes people say the word just to help them gather their thoughts, or if they feel nervous. Sometimes I do carry that as well. But if you need to gather your thoughts, try to just be silent and prepare your responses in more detail. and try to write them down just to help you prepare even further. And of course, don't forget when you are asking questions back to the interviewer or interviewers, uh, prepare some smart questions, such as learning about the company and its employees. Any thought provoking questions that show that you're interested in learning more about them can add in more brownie points to help you fit in with them. So, moving to one of the main topics here is the situational and behavioral based questions. What are they? Well, behavioral questions are a type of interview questions that prompt candidates to describe how they have handled specific past situations, often using phrases like, tell me about a time when, give me an example of, etc. And these are questions where you describe your role in different scenarios, such as in problem solving, analyzing, communicating, etc. They're very open-ended questions for the most part. And this is where you showcase how you demonstrated using these skills effectively in a professional setting. And questions like these vary in context because you work for more when you work for more specific roles, you deal with that said role's challenges. And employers, if they really want to know about your background, would want to ask you more details and see how you would respond to them. And here are some sample behavioral interview questions, such as number one, tell me about a time when you helped a customer resolve their problems. So this could be a communication skill that you may need to demonstrate and explaining. Number two, describe a time when you had a disagreement at work. Of course, this does focus on communication, but also when you have to work with other team members that have differing views. Number three, describing the organizational system that you use to juggle multiple work responsibilities at one time, and then provide an example. So this involves knowing how to organize your work schedule on a regular basis just to see that you can handle the tasks efficiently and in a timely manner. And of course, there are, and just a friendly reminder, there are some behavioral questions that can be closed ended, such as yes, no, true, false, etc., on top of what you have to explain in these behavioral questions. And of course, there are other behavioral types as well, which I haven't put on the slide, but you could encounter ones such as describe a time when you were involved in a project that was not going well and tell me how you handled it along with the outcome. And perhaps tell me about a time when someone was critical of your work and how you responded to it. Yeah. These types of questions are used by the employers, of course, to assess a candidate's soft skills, future performance, and how they align with the company by understanding their past actions. All this premise is that previous behavior predicts future behavior. And how should you answer these behavioral situational questions? Of course, they can be pretty tricky, but they should be answered appropriately in a storytelling formula, which we call STAR. By following this formula, even the trickiest behavioral questions could be handled properly. And this ensures, by following this formula, this ensures that you answer the question in full while providing a simple structure. And this technique helps job applicants like yourselves with giving comprehensive and compelling answers while tackling these questions. Now let's break down the importance of STAR, STAR, and the stage, and in this case, what each stage means and how to use them. Let's look into it. And starting with the first stage, S stands for situation. Explain, in this case, explain the situation that you are using when you're given a scenario based question. So, in the situation, your goal is to paint a clear picture of said situation that you are in, and so that the interviewer can understand the overall premise of what's going on. Keep it concise and on what's relevant to the story and the interview question you are answering. So, for example, if I was given a question to this, I could describe, such as Describe the organizational system that you use to juggle multiple work responsibilities at one time. I could use different environments that I could explain, perhaps in an accounting firm, perhaps in a lawyer's office, or perhaps even in a public institution like KPU, just to help set the scene for the interviewer. Moving on to the second one, task T, where you explain the task that you were working on, or the challenge that you were facing. And this step might reflect upon your strategy or thinking in coming up with a plan. What goal were you moving towards? Now, keep in mind, T task is not the same as action, but it could be confusing sometimes, as this is dedicated to giving your specific responsibilities in that scenario. And this could include objectives set for yourself before diving in what you actually did. A, action. This is the time where you explain what you did. Showcase what you contributed in this scenario to resolve it. This is a stage where it's your time to shine. In other words, so in this stage, try to be specific and give enough information about what you did exactly. Did you work in a team? Did you work alone? Uh, Perhaps use specific software, or even spearheaded a project initiative, etc. And then explain, of course, and elaborate on the details of your actions. And then lastly, R, result. Yeah, this final portion, of course, as the term states, this is the final portion of your interview response where you share the results of the actions that you had taken. If your responses include any quantitative result, such as numbers, percentages, the number of people, ratios, etc., uh, this could already shows what you have achieved based on the entire situation, and it could be very impactful in the eyes of the interviewer. And here is an example of STAR being used for a situational based question. So the question I could use based on this example could be, if I want to apply for a marketing position, I could start off with something like this. And where S situation, I worked as a marketing intern at my college. Advertising revenue was falling short for my college newspaper, and large numbers of long-term advertisers were not renewing the contracts. And then T for task, my goal was to generate new ideas, materials, and incentives that would result in at least a 15% increase in advertisers from the year before. And A for action. I designed a new promotional packet to go with the rate sheet and compared the benefits of the newspaper circulation with other ad media in the area. And I also set up a special training session for the account executives with a School of Business Administration professor who discussed selling strategies, competitive selling strategies. And result, at the end, we signed contracts with 15 former advertisers for daily ads and 5 more for special supplements. And so at the end, we increased our new advertisers by 20% over the same period last year. See how each part is answered in full uh, and concise with all the actions that with all the aspects being explained properly in a structured formula. And here is a chart that I believe could be helpful in helping you, the audience, organize your thoughts. If you have, of course, work experience in answering these behavioral questions, work experience is the ideal type of response as it showcases your work work abilities in a professional setting. Of course, if you have volunteer, personal, or education experience in answering and handling these star questions, that's also acceptable, as they can also be useful as alternatives. Okay, I'd like to throw in another question for our audience members. Just one more. A
Mhm.
multiple choice question. where you can choose more than one answer. So, just from this slide here, which question is appropriate to ask to an employer during an interview? Yeah, so I'll just repeat. Which question is appropriate to ask an employer during an interview? And yeah, feel free to just read up the responses. I'll read them out for you as well. And you can choose more than one answer. Just keep that in mind. A, what salary or wage would I start off working in your company? What does this company do? Are any other jobs open? How do you describe the company's culture and values? What's the worst thing about working here? And lastly, yeah, how does your company define and measure success? So here's the list of questions. So yeah, feel free to choose your responses. And Chantel, if you can just help me check the chat to see what the responses are from our audience. Thank you in advance.
You bet. Okay, well, my favorite one, because it made me laugh, is E. What's the worst thing about working here? I think that's pretty hilarious. Okay, multiple choice. So we have just about everybody saying D and F. Um, we do have some saying A, A about salary. What would I be starting with? That one they think is okay to ask. Someone thinks that D, B, and F. So, what does this company do? Is okay to ask. It's okay to ask that question. But for the most part, Lewis, I'm seeing D and F pop up
Mhm,
pretty regularly. So, how do you describe the company's culture and values? And how does your company define and measure success? So
mhm.
those are the two popular ones for sure.
Sounds good. Yeah. Thank you very much, Chantal. Yeah. So if it were me to ask the employer questions, I would usually stick to D and F as well. I think the other questions may not be appropriate at the time. If there are any other future interviews that you may carry out with the interviewers, there may be some of the other questions you could consider asking to perhaps provide for more information. Yeah, but usually in general, yeah, sticking to DNF would be safer bets at this time. Thank you. Yeah. So of course, just moving on, just to supplement with your understanding about interviewer questions, and after of course they ask you a ton of them, it's time to switch the roles around, right? And to learn more about them, here are just yeah some of the questions you could consider using as well. And yeah, such as skills, qualities that the organization find most useful for effective people and their at their department or organization. Yeah, what do you hope the person you hire will accomplish in in the first year? How and describing work culture, even the next steps. Yeah, all these questions may be helpful in um, providing more light in the current company's say mission and the values, workplace culture, just to help you feel if you are a good fit in working for this organization. And now I'd like to turn your attention to a question that I'm sure many of you all dread and are a bit worried about. In this case, salary expectations. So when the hiring manager asks about your salary expectations, how would you answer them, and um, and how would you shape the entire conversation? So here are a couple strategies that I think would be helpful in starting off, and yeah, and with some sample questions or sample responses that you can use to handle this common interview question. So number one, you could consider using offering a specific salary range. So when it's time to name a number, providing a range rather than a specific salary can give you some wiggle room. Yeah. Keep it narrow and aim your target near the bottom just to avoid settling too low. So, for example, you could say something along the lines of, based on my research and experience, I'm seeking a role that pays between 70 to $75,000 annually. This signals preparedness and flexibility, though employers might lean toward the lower end. So choose your range wisely. Another question you could consider using is deflecting the question earlier on. And if you're early in the interview process and still unclear on the job's scope, deflecting lets you gather more information before you're committed to the position. And of course, this keeps your options open while showing engagement in the conversation. So, for example, before I answer, I'd like to ask a few more questions about the role's responsibilities. That will help me give you a more accurate expectation that fits the position. So that way, these one of the two of these strategies can greatly help you when you're asked this type of question. And after the interview, here are several things on the next slide that you can use to express your interest in the position. And of course, when interviews take place over several days or weeks, interviewers may require some time to um, process and evaluate all the other candidates for the role. And of course, give them some time to process the other candidates and use this time to do other things too, such as uh, um, doing self evaluations, where after the interview, you can check upon your performance and see which questions stump you. Consider how you would improve upon those questions next time. And after the first round of interviews, you may be called for additional round of an additional round, moving on to the next stage. And of course, good for you if you were moved on to the next stage, right? Yeah. And of course, yes, when you um, can actually write off a brief thank you note, that would also be acceptable. Through email is usually acceptable. And of course, there are other points here on the page that I did point out, such as strong points and next steps that you could consider looking into. Yeah, just during the self-evaluation phase. And of course, when you're writing the thank you note from the previous slide, here are some tips on helping you prepare for it, such as writing one within 24 hours. As I mentioned, email is fine. Thank the people who actually showed up for the interview, mention the names, and reiterating your interest, where you make specific references from the interview. Perhaps there was a certain project that you had mentioned that you believe would be worth mentioning, and as probably share the same values as yourself, and putting that in would be worth mentioning. And of course, you can look forward to the next steps or the dates specifically if the interviewer had mentioned when they would contact you. And here are some tips for in person interviews. Just moving on to this stage, where just to help you reduce the stress when you are preparing for this interview day. So, moving to this, where it's important to plan your trip ahead of time, confirm the location of the interview. And if you can, try and map it out on Google Maps, especially if you are unfamiliar with the city or area. And yeah, determine which commuting option you would go by ahead of time. And keep in mind of the traffic that could delay your estimated time of arrival for the interview. And if possible, try to plan to be at the location 10 to 15 minutes early. And of course, when it comes to items to bring, as I had mentioned multiple times, bring in a notebook, pen and paper, but of course, extra copies of your resume, yeah, that you had used to apply for this position. And depending, of course, on the industry, you could consider bringing in samples of your work, such as on paper or designs, even recordings could also be useful. And of course, don't forget to be polite to everyone you speak, especially if it's a panel interview. Smile, making eye contact. make sure to turn off your cell phone before the interview begins, or even keep it in vibrate. That should be fine as well. And throughout your responses and your demeanor, show genuine enthusiasm and excitement throughout time. And don't forget, of course, pause and breathe from time to time. Yeah, and so let's recap in general some of the major points we've covered in the presentation. And of course, number one, always research, prepare in advance. As I've mentioned, always look into the company's website, check up on their mission and values, learn about what projects that they had been involved in. All of this, you're just trying to build more ammo when it comes to preparing your responses. And of course, be confident. Honesty is key when it comes to prepping your responses. Uh, Nobody expects I would say, your responses to be perfect when it comes to finding the ideal candidate. But when it comes to talking about your qualifications and examples that you had used, perhaps a skill, a software ability, or even your work experience, that would be a great guide to help you formulate those responses. And of course, practice, practice, practice when you answering common and behavioral questions. Uh, I cannot stress how important it is when you are carrying out the stage. And as mentioned, try to have a friend, family member to provide you with feedback when possible. And for those tricky situational questions, using the STAR method: situation, task, action, and result. If you can formulate your entire response based on that, that would be a great way to end off and leave a strong impression of yourself. And at the end, yes, send a thank you note and follow up with them when appropriate. Uh, as mentioned, yeah, using some tips from the previous slide on thank you notes can be useful and shows how professional you are and reiterating your interest in working for the company. And yes, please feel free to scan our interview toolkit QR code. Use this resource to help you with writing uh, the and prepping for the interview responses. And yeah, of course teaches you how to get ready to use the STAR method as well. I find this to be an excellent resource when it comes to um, students like yourself prepping for those questions and the stage overall. And of course, a friendly reminder of our Get Ready, Get Hired fairs on locations and dates. So just to let you know, yes, it's going to be this week, happening on Wednesday, October 1st at the Richmond Main Atrium, and on Thursday at October 2nd, Surrey Spruce Atrium, both from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Looking forward to seeing all of you there, and yeah, getting to have the chance to meet so many employers there too. And of course, at the end, yes, there are draws happening on Tuesday, October 14th, where we have several KPU bookstore gift cards for each of the webinars. And yeah, there are also KPU bookstore gift cards at $50 as well, along with tuition waivers and a gift basket, which I think would be a very interesting prize to see what other goodies would be there. Yes, and is pretty much the end of our webinar. Yeah, and hopefully this session has been insightful for you and provided you with tips that we think would be useful for you in helping you prepare for the interview stage. And yeah, at this time, we are happy to take in any questions from our audience. Uh, Feel free to ask away.
All right. Great, Lewis. Thank you so much for all that valuable information. I think it might be good if you could go back to the QR code
Hmm.
of the toolkit. That would be great. We do have a few questions here in the chat. So the first question we have, I have NS DOA. I yeah, the letter N and then S. So I don't know if it's DOA, but anyways, the question is, what if I have no experience Sorry, just going up here. Yeah. What if I have no experience at all? I would have no answers for most of the interview questions.
Hmm. Oh, good question. There may be some people who, from our school, for or even in my experience working with other populations, having no experience at all. But if you want to, you could actually start gaining experience from, I would say, from through volunteers. And even in your academics would be useful. If you do not have direct work experience, those two areas could at least help you start utilizing different skills that you could actually start developing, right? And I, like you, I used to actually feel that way, and stuck with having no work experience at all. But through through volunteering and through academics, I find that useful in demonstrating that, oh, I actually have those skills that I had developed. And yes, even if I don't have the professional experience to back it up, being able to explain it through those other avenues could, in an effective and insightful manner, of course, using the STAR method, if applicable, can be useful in carrying out the interview process too. So yeah, those two areas could be helpful for starters then.
All
And
right.
Chantel, do you have anything to supplement on that?
Yeah. So just a reminder that you are exactly where everybody has been. No experience, right? We all start with no experience. So yeah, just like Lewis said, through volunteering, take a look at your schooling as well. So the thing is if you're applying for and interviewing at a job where and you have no experience, they know that already, right? They know that because you have the interview based on, very likely, the resume that you submitted. So they already know that you don't have experience and they still pulled you in for an interview. So chances are it's an entry level position and you can pull quite heavily on your education. Lots of examples there, and perhaps even your personal life. Like you might have developed a really great spreadsheet, a budget for your own personal finances to get yourself through university. Hey, that's a great skill, right? So you can certainly find that information through your personal life too. So you never know. All right, Lewis, we have a question here from Hardeep, and the question is in regards to STAR. For STAR questions, what if we don't have that situation in the past? So that specific question that they ask, what if they've never experienced that?
If such a situation does occur, you, I would say, if that is the case, I would say, uh, it, let's say if we have a question that you may have encountered and don't have a proper response, there may be um, tr- similar scenarios that you may have encountered that may not be directly relatable to said star question, and it might require more analysis in your part. And of course, if you may not have direct experience in this particular question, you could turn to us, career development coaches, to help you analyze your work experience, volunteer or academics, any combination, to help you pinpoint the right, um, I would say, the right experience that could help you answer that question. And usually, there may be some experience in your life, be it in any of those avenues, that could help you respond to that one effectively. Yeah. And yeah, it just requires more prying to help you understand more about your background. Yeah, and self-reflection. So yeah, that would be, I would say, a strategy you could turn towards.
Great. Thank you for that, Lewis. And yeah, if need be, yeah, find something similar. Um, and if need be, you can go hypothetical, right? If that were to happen, these are the steps that I would take and really walk them through your process. So we had some questions here in regards to what jobs are available at the event and can you send a list of job interviewers that will be attending the job fair? So I've gone ahead and put the link to the Get Ready, Get Hired website. You will find a list of all the companies there. Please do, they're all hyperlinks, so you can just click on them and find out what it is they do and what kinds of jobs they might be hiring for. So I'm going to leave that up to you, the student, to find that information out. And next up, we have from Arjun, we have how much does being nervous and stressed during an interview affect the chance of not, I guess, getting hired?
Well, I would say, as I stressed um, throughout the presentation here, preparation does play a key role as it actually establishes the confidence in helping you with your responses. That's why practicing it with um, different people, even your stuffed toy collection, may be a great way to help you relieve some of the stress. Of course, when you're um, in the actual interview, um, you may even feel a little overwhelmed at the first, but it's the experiences that you have gained throughout time that would eventually lead you into thinking that an interview is simply a conversation that you're having with a group of people who really want to know more about your qualifications and your background, etc. So while it does feel nervous, I think it's the practice that you have gained over time that help you relieve that stress. But of course, the preparation does play a key role in helping you alleviate it even more. Mm. So yeah, try. I would say take that route to help you prepare for those interview stages.
Yeah, great point. Now, practice doesn't make perfect, but it does help, right?
Yeah.
So practice, and of course, you can make an appointment with a career coach to conduct a mock interview. Those are incredibly helpful. If any student has done them before, I'm sure you would all agree they're incredibly helpful to help you prepare for an actual interview.
Absolutely.
Okay, so Laura asks, can you talk a little bit more about the fair? So is it common to have interviews on site?
Yeah. So at the fair, we on both Richmond and the Surrey locations, we did section off part of the fair where you can conduct interviews with the employers. So it would be draped up, so you can actually yeah, have this engaging conversation with said employer and yeah, carry out the interview process as is. Yeah. So yeah, to answer your question, yes, that would there would be a section for you to carry that out. Yeah.
Yeah, and we don't necessarily have a listing of which employers might be conducting on-the-spot
Mhm.
interviews, but the space is there both for the Richmond campus and for the Surrey campus in case employers would like to do that. So it is definitely a possibility. Okay, having a look here, it looks like we don't have any more questions yet, which is good because we're just coming on 12:59, so we're hitting it right on the mark.
Mhm.
And then Diego just mentions it is good to understand the cultural differences for sure within companies, and differences do not mean weaknesses, right? They can absolutely be strengths. So that's really important, though, to know as part of your research. We'll see if there's any more questions, but I think that looks to be about it. I guess I'll pass it over to you, Lewis, to wrap things up.
Mhm. Well, yeah, thank you very much, Chantal. And yeah, thank you very much for our audience members for attending this webinar. And we hope that this has provided you with a lot more information about how to prepare for the interview. And of course, if you have any further questions to help you in that stage, you can always set up an appointment with us, career development coaches at our center. We're more than happy to help you in the employment preparation stage just to help you secure that position that you've always wanted. And yeah, we'll do our best to help you every step of the way. Mhm. And yeah, thank you very much for today. And yeah, enjoy, I would say, the rest of your day and yeah, carry on with their preparations for the fair. Thank you. Mhm. And I guess, yeah, they're free to go on moving forward.